All right, so we have our board here. We demolded it. So we got to flatten this out. If you look at a finished board that's ready for sanding and coating, it's nice and square, it's nice and flat, looks really, really good. Our current board that we just demolded, well, it's not quite square. We got a lot of stuff over here. There's epoxy that's underneath. This needs some love, needs a little TLC. So that's what we're gonna do. We're actually gonna take down a good amount of material here, 1/16 of an inch, 32nds of an inch, until we have a nice smooth and flat surface, just like this one over here. There's a couple ways to do that. You could put it on a flat surface like I've got here, and just take a sander to it with a heavy sanding disc on an orbital, like a 40 or a 30, and really spend your time in making sure you're being as even as possible. That technically works, and you can get pretty good results with it, but it's not perfect. And being somebody who's a little bit of a perfectionist, I'm gonna use this right here, which is called a slab jig. Slab jig is a really simple tool that takes a normal router and actually allows you to go across your workpiece at a set depth with a spoil board bit. A spoil board bit really is just a large CNC bit for removing material. So using a slab jig like this with a simple setup allows you to get a flat surface every time. We're just gonna go ahead, go a little bit down, go across our board, a little bit down, go across our board again, until we've removed enough material where it's completely flat. We'll turn it over. It's a little bit of a process, but let me tell you, it's really, really worth it. The board comes out looking phenomenal at the end. Now, since this router puts a lot of force on the material here, we don't want this board sliding around. So I'm gonna actually put in some spack screws on either side of each corner. That's gonna lock our board in place and make sure there's no play. Now that we're getting ready to slab, we want to find the highest point on the board and then set our router bit just to be a little bit lower than that. We're going to inch our way down on this. 32nds, 1/16 of an inch, that's the right move. That makes sure that we're not pushing the router any further than it should be. We end up, burning out a motor or breaking a bit. All right, now I'm plugging this in, I'm getting ready to go, but before we get going here, we do got to talk about personal protective equipment here. Since this is resin and we are sanding and cutting it, we are atomizing all that material, which means it's very dangerous. That means respirator, safety glasses, and be smart. Now we didn't take much off that pass. That's okay. We're discovering where the material is height-wise. Now I'll just take my router, shift it down a little bit, and do the same pass again. This is a game of patience, folks. Don't overdo it out the gate. All right, we are done using the slab jig. It worked perfectly. It's great. This board is flat on both sides, which is what we need to do our next step, which is sanding things up. But before we go there, let's talk about some of this chip out that we have on the board, and that's something you might have to deal with too. So when you see chip out like this on a board, especially in a linear pattern like this, it means that your process of using the slab jig, there's something off there. You could be going too fast and trying to take off too much material, maybe would be another one. Or the bit you're using itself, in my case, is kind of an old bit. This has seen a few river tables and a lot of cutting boards. Now, am I worried about all this chip out for our board here and the fact that I had an older bit? Not really. You can see in this example here, I had the same bit and I had the same chip out. Well, what happens? What do we do from here? We're actually gonna go through the sanding process, starting at 40 grit and work this thing down so it's crystal smooth, something like this. I've sanded this board up all the way to 320, and you can see that the finish on it is phenomenal. We're not gonna go that high on this board down here because we're gonna do a top coat that gives us a beautiful finish. So let's take it through the steps of sanding one by one and go from there. Since we've got this flat and level, we don't wanna mess that up by just randomly sanding this thing. So what we're gonna do is take a pencil and we're gonna draw lines actually on top of our board. Now doing this gives us a sense of the material that we're removing as we're sanding. Once these pencil marks disappear, it means that section's been sanded and we don't need to go back to it. We're gonna work our way up through the grits. And we're gonna start with 40. So we're gonna go 40 grit, 60 grit, 80 grit, 120, 180, 220, and 320. That gives us a beautiful smooth finish while we're slowly getting rid of all the scratches that we put in there from the last sanding dip. That's it for leveling and sanding. In the next video, we'll finish this board with a skim coat followed by a top coat. Stay tuned though. In a later video, I'll show you how to repair and refinish your project after it's seen a lot of wear and tear. Till next time.